let's leave that as it is for the moment. So let me go over here. Give me a second. Hello, Love Triber. Thanks for visiting. All right. Give me a second. All right. So I put out a few notes earlier today on YouTube and X. It's mostly about money. I guess I should mark that over here. It's a big poopy red alert. I'm going to mark this with a massive red danger sign over here. Hold on. Alrighty. So I'm just getting refreshed. It's Friday night. The moon is in Cancer. It's closing in on the end of a 28-day lunar cycle. For myself, it's very normal for me to feel very, very sensitive, very dopey, mellow, insular, frightened, wimpy, non-participant. Generally just a wimp. Cheers. So I'm resorting to artificial happiness. I love my poor man's Coca-Cola. When you're on a budget, you do what you have to do. So there it is. The glorious, glorious thing. This is the United States Federal Reserve Bank. I believe this is actually the head office. There's multiple sub-offices around the country. I think there's about 15 of them. These guys in here, there's hundreds of them inside of there. They're like quants. They're all super PhDs with finance, economics, and maths, and so on. They're all cuckoo. I think they're all cuckoo. They come up with reports and charts and everything. You can do your own research. You can go to the Federal Reserve, like .com or whatever it's called, fed.gov or something like that. US Fed or Fred or something like that. And you can look up all this stuff. I think what I'm going to do right now is just jump into the alerts, get it out of the way, get it right there in front of you, and then we can play around a little bit and then go from there. All right, so let's go over here. Here we are at the stage itself. Okay, so this is my note for August. Basically, the whole of August is a mess. We've got the two monster retrogrades out here with Neptune and Pluto. We've got Saturn retrograde all the way through. I'm not going to mark, this is just standard retrograde energy, but these are in crisis degree points. Saturn is not in a crisis degree point exactly. It has some crisis points over here, which we'll come to in a minute. But it's different. Over here with Neptune and Pluto, they are at the 29 or 0 or 1 degree point. So it's very, very extremely hyper unstable right now across the world regarding basically power, money, and control. Most obviously, we see that in the world of politics and banking, stock markets, and money. And control, we're talking about the Neptune energy, which has been heavily perverted in the service of the cabal over here. So what I feel is that we're seeing the very, very worst characteristics of the most unhealthy expression of Pluto and Neptune, and it's very tragic. It doesn't mean the good stuff's not there, it just means we're heavily overwhelmed by the negative, and the negative, unhealthy energy is heavily, heavily supported astrologically, oddly enough. I'll just show you this to you. It's been here for quite some time. It will continue to be here. There's this trine with two sextiles holding it all together here. This particular little piece of sacred geometry is essentially acting as a life raft to all the communists, the tyrants, the dictators, the Federal Reserve banks, anybody or anything in an or like an institution, like a government, that is obsessed with having the maximum insatiable amount of power, money, and control. And what are they going to do to get it and keep it? Well, they've already got it. The problem is, like, how are they going to keep it? Because they realized that there's at least 7 billion people across Earth have figured out the scam that these folks are operating, and that they operate their scam behind a beautiful, spectacular veil of deception called the Federal Reserve Bank and the central banking system and the fiat money system, debt-based debt farm that is pervasive around the world right now. And the masses have figured it out. And they don't like it and they don't want it. So we're going through a very, very profound, deep revolution at the depths of the soul of humankind. And it will find its voice. It will find its light. It will find resolution. It will find healing. Effectively, it's boiling down into a war, a very fundamental war, existential war. Pluto has no middle ground. It's yes, no, on, off, in, out, black, white, death, birth, life, death, war, peace. Right now, it's building up to war on the journey towards peace. The tyrants and the dictators and the cabal, they want war if they have to in order to preserve their position, even if it means doing very, very disturbing, sick things. So that's what they're doing, including the global financial markets especially. Anyway, early this week, the United States Federal Reserve Bank put out its messages and notes, and the markets responded very badly. They didn't like what they heard because it did not match reality. Even though Jerome Powell was trying to describe his version of reality, it did not come anywhere near the mathematical version of reality that's showing on the charts of the global financial markets. And so the markets became very pissed off and very frightened, and they behaved accordingly. And there were massive crashes, massive sell-offs, and it's the very, very, very early stages and beginnings of a massive global avalanche of money. It started right here. Wednesday. It started right here, actually, at the very end of July. Okay, filtered through over here to the beginning of August, and here we are at Friday night, the end of the trading week, and it turned into an absolute black hole. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you want to, you can check all the charts and how the Dow and the Standard & Poor and the DXY and the NASDAQ all suffered massive crashes, massive sell-offs in fear. Basically, the people who own and manage and run those assets decided we need to start cashing out now. Because if we don't cash out now, it's going to crash anyway, and whatever we cash out later is going to be worth a lot less than what we cash out right now. So it's like having a run on the banks. It's like having a big rush to the exits. It's like having a firestorm, like somebody pulled an alarm bell inside a cinema, and everybody goes, oh my God, we got to get out of here. And there's a massive rush to the exit, and the first people out are the ones that live. The last people out are the ones that die. So here we are. What I did earlier today is I put up some emergency alerts on my X and my shorts on YouTube. And this is what it amounts to. There are 5. We've just lived through the actual initial crash right here. But we have 4 more very, very specific events over here astrologically that are going to show up in the global financial markets. All of these little markers here, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, correspond to some very, let's say, destabilizing astrological aspects that are going to have a direct impact on the global markets, specifically the United States Stock Exchange and all its ramifications across the world, and the United States Federal Reserve Bank and all its ramifications across the world, and the United States big time, big name banks that own all the shares in the Federal Reserve banking system, and the United States Treasury and the federal government and its budget. And then that will trickle all the way down to we the people. That will affect BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Blackstone, Berkshire Hathaway, all the big monster mega funds that basically manage trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Let me go into it just a little bit more I just want to fill out the story. So in the United States, okay, pretty much every state in this country here has massive trust funds, retirement funds, pension funds, insurance funds, government administration funds, and operating funds. It adds up to trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And they have to park that money somewhere for safekeeping. And when you have that much, you want to grow your money. And the higher the interest rate in the banking system, the more your money can grow. So there's a strong incentive to keep your money in there right now. The problem is that interest rates are at a level right now which is causing a lot of stress for billions of people across the world. So there's a lot of temptation to cut the interest rates to make it easier to borrow money. Right now, the Federal Reserve Bank is doing everything it can to try and seduce about 7 billion people to take on more debt, to play the game, become bigger and bigger and fatter and more voracious, thirsty debt cows on the debt farm. And people are broke. If you look at China, you look at America, you look at Western Europe where a lot of the money is, they're broke. And they're getting very, very scared about borrowing money. So there's a lot of stagnation in the markets with mortgages, car payments, credit cards, college loans, business loans, commercial real estate loans. In fact, in all of those different segments, there are some catastrophic events going on that are leading to bankruptcy and implosions. But of course, nobody wants to talk about it. Anyway, the point is with those funds, a lot of them are vested in the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, the Fidelities, and so on. And those fund managers, those asset managers, are watching very carefully with what the Fed is doing, what government is doing. And the United States government is behaving extremely irresponsibly and exercising very, very destructive policies that might work for some of the elites and the Kabbalists and the bankers themselves and certain private entities, but it's very destructive for the economy and we the people. And it's a very delicate balancing match. If they raise interest rates to where they should be, which I believe is about 8, 9, 10, 11%, it'll just destroy America within hours. That's what'll happen. So they can't do it. But they have to keep interest rates up high enough to attract enough money to come in to buy the debt and the bonds. It's very hard to do that because at the same time keeping those rates up there makes it very hard for the American consumer to be a good little debt cow on the debt farm and take on more debt, because the Americans are already tapped out. Just imagine a debt farm full of debt cows. The debt cows have already been pumped full of chemicals, fake nutrients, and they're being milked as hard as they can to extract the milk. They're being harvested for their meat. Everything is being harvested to the point where the cows are basically like, I can't do it anymore. I'm already tapped out and maxed out. It's very unnatural. It's very synthetic, very, very fake, and very unhealthy. But that's what it's like. And, you remember that very sad picture from many, many months ago about those 10,000 cows that just collapsed dead on a CAFO, a concentrated animal feeding operation? That's what's happening to the American debt cow. They're just collapsing under the pressure. They can't keep up. They're not borrowing. They're not buying the houses that they're supposed to buy. They're not buying the cars. They can't even buy the used cars. They can't afford the college loans. They can't even afford food and gas and rent and mortgages anymore. They're just tapped out. People are going broke. They're getting evictions, foreclosures, and bankruptcies. And yet the Fed is basically saying everything's not that bad. We're just going to keep going. And then eventually we're going to lower the interest rates to make everything exciting and fun for people. That is coded language for the Fed basically admitting that they're desperate. And if they don't lower the interest rate soon, things are going to get much worse for the American economy. And that's not good for when the elections are coming up, because guess who works with guess who? So if they do crash the interest rates really, really low, that might sound like good news, but what it is, it's actually an act of absolute end of the world devastation, desperation. Because that's the only way that you can keep the game going. But when you crush interest rates that low and you create a fake economy and you flood the world with fake debt, it just makes everything even worse than it is already. So the markets have figured it out. And they're basically saying, no, this isn't working. It's time to get out. We see the avalanche coming. We can see all the telltale signs of the avalanche. It's here. We're going to get out now while we can so that we don't get crushed on the way down, or especially on the bottom. So that's happening live right now. These are the particular dates I'm highlighting. Basically, it's the middle of, right now we're right at the beginning, and we're coming into a Leo new moon coming out of the end of the last lunar cycle. The Leo new moon is going to trigger a little bit of excitement for the Leo crowd, but it's also going to eventually cause, not yet, but in the very near future, the Leo sun is going to move from here to here, and it's going to come into a very, very sharp, hard square with Uranus and Taurus. The light of Leo is going to shine a light on the hidden world of Uranus, and it's going to show the extreme hyper instability in the global financial markets. So step one, in the middle of August, we're reaching a crisis point. Mercury will be in Leo retrograde, 27 degrees. Uranus will be in Taurus, 27 degrees. That's very, very bad for the financial markets. It's a hard, hard square. Okay? I think there's going to be tremendous instability in the markets, a lot of fear. I don't know what that's going to look like, perhaps massive sell-offs. And at the same time, there's going to be a whole bunch of vulture capitalists and opportunist capitalists who are going to be wandering around, sniffing out the blood. What they're looking for. The vultures the vulture capitalists are looking for blood. They're looking for blood on the streets because that's the indication that there's a lot of funds and a lot of stocks that are dead or dying and their price is crashing. So that means blood. So a lot of people are getting destroyed, but at the same time, that creates value for the vultures because they want to come in and they're going to try and snatch it up and buy it at roadkill prices. Okay? So that's going to happen right in the middle of August. That corresponds to here. That's number one, right here. Number two, not even a week later, the sun will be in Leo at 27 degrees, hard square to Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees. That is going to be a real shocker for the market because the market is going to be heavily lit up and exposed by the beautiful light of Leo, and it's going to expose the shocking reality of what's going on inside the markets. No matter what Jerome or Grandpa Joe or Janet says, and we'll see that in the market behavior. It's going to be hyper volatile, ups and downs and ups and downs. But what I wouldn't be surprised to see is something that looks like this. I'm just going to sketch it out. Does that make sense? Like here we are now, and then crash, boom, crash, boom, 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 crash, boom, boom, crash, boom, boom, and then death. Like roadkill. Okay? That's towards the end of the month. So we've covered number 1 and number 2. Both of these, number 1 and 2, are very, very stressful astrologically. Late in August, we have Venus in Virgo trined Uranus in Taurus. And my feeling is because Venus moves pretty quickly, that's going to sweeten things up and make people feel like, whew, it's not so bad as we thought it was going to be. All we have to do is clean up and tidy up the roadkill that's happened, all right, and then everything's going to be fine, and we'll just clean up and make the best of it, dust ourselves off, hose ourselves down, learn from our painful lessons and move on. And then, bam-o, just a few days later, Mars will be in Gemini, semi-sextile to Uranus and Taurus. And that's going to be very, very confusing for the markets. Very, very confusing. Confusion equals instability. Squares equal instability, and danger, squares equals danger. So the whole month is just a massive minefield for the global financial markets. How you deal with that, I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a trader. I don't have anything, the ability to do any of that. I don't have the resources to play any of those things. So, and even if I did, I don't know if I would. I'm much more interested in things that have actual value. You know, like a really good screwdriver, a car that works, gasoline, food, no debt. Having debt right now is very dangerous. If people have, let's say you got $1 million, $10 million or something, and it's stacked up at BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, or you do your own trading and you do the NASDAQ, the Standard & Poor, you do the Dow, and all of that stuff. You stick with good old-fashioned index funds, thinking that everything's going to be fine, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm getting wrecked. And then everyone else who operates like that, they realize, oh, I'm getting wrecked too, I better sell. Oh, then other one says, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting wrecked too, I better sell. So that creates a cascading avalanche. Okay? Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're BlackRock, or whether you're a really smart day trader, or you're in the currency markets. Either way, this is an extremely dangerous month financially, especially on the global scale. on my chart, the circles, what are the dates and differences in the color? Well, it's all about danger, risk. These are super deep, super dangerous. We've talked about them for many, many months, and it's going to go on for months. This is dangerous. We're coming into it right now. We've already been leading up to it since the end of July when Jerome Powell made his speech, and the market reacted very badly and told him basically, F off, Jerome, you're full of it. You have no idea. You think you're God. I'm sorry, the market can smell BS. So, danger, 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 danger. In terms of the calendar, it's happening right now, okay, tomorrow and the next few days as we go over this new moon in Leo cusp. And then things are going to stabilize a little bit just for a very short period of time. We're going to get the ascending moon, and we're going to have a full moon, which will be, let's see, hold on, give me a second. I want to find, when's the full moon? The full moon will be the 19th, okay? So I guess we should mark it in there. It's so cramped, okay, right over here in this section here. Like, you know what? Let's mark it right now. Sun in Leo, moon in Aquarius, okay, right over here. Okay, it's just going to get too messy. This is the Leo Aquarius full moon, okay? It's extremely close to the crisis point, the 0-degree point of Pluto. So it's going to amplify the crisis, okay? And it's going to be in a loose square. Okay, so look, okay, so there's the sun in Leo, right? In a few days, we're going to have the moon over here, and the sun is going to be here. That's going to be the Leo new moon. Okay, and then the sun is going to move over here. Then we're going to get the really fierce hard square over here. So that's all of that and all of that. The full moon will be on the 18th and the 19th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiple crises points all piling up on top of each other in the middle of the month. It's like a massive multi-car pileup on an interstate. Think of it that way. And then there's a bit of relief while people sort themselves out, and then that leads to a secondary multi-car pileup on the interstate of global finance over here. The third time moment and the fourth. The third is the least stressful, but it will have harmonious. I think it'll be a very brief moment of harmony where somebody goes, oh my God, how am I going to survive? And then more car crashes here. So I'm just giving you a heads up, all right? Please be aware. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't do any of these things because I can't do the stock market or anything like that. But I am an observer because I think it's very, very important. And I like to see the correlations with the astrology because it's something very interesting to me. All right, let's go over here. I've shared all that, shared all of that. Yeah. So I'm just going to wrap it up here, let you all have a super evening. I hope some of you get something out of this. Pass it along, you know. And find a way to navigate through and mitigate your potential losses. Do whatever you got to do. Protect your money. Protect your privacy. Protect yourself. It's very, very important now. Those are the open lean lines in my little book. If I can find it. Section 1. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, there it is. It's right on the front page. On the inside. Protect your money. Protect your privacy. Protect yourself. It's funny how this little book has become more and more validated every day that we advance. I'm quite proud of that. Anyway, it's Friday night. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll probably see you tomorrow, maybe Sunday or whatever. Okay? You know, a Tour de France cycling event. One rider goes down, they all go down. Yeah. So brace yourselves, everybody. Do what you got to do. Do your homework. Do your homework. I'm going to check out now. And go over here. Where is it? Something's happening.